Welcome back, YouTube. So in this video, I'm doing a price update for Dogecoin. I got some questions about a potential head and shoulder pattern. So I want to kind of speak on that because I can understand how it looks like that. And while it's not invalidated, I can give a couple of reasons as to why that may not necessarily be the case. But let's take a look here. So if we're looking at the level support here, which is around, what is this, like the 709 mark, we are slightly below that, but we're getting some rejections here. So it looks like for, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For the seventh time, it's looking like this support may actually hold up yet again, which is great. This is pretty much us ascending from around the 598, and we've established the entry point to our consolidation as a floor. We've literally had on this cycle alone, since we had the breakdown and we broke our ascending wedge, we've had 7 touches on this line of support. So even in that, as far as for retailers or people who are looking to swing, this is creating a really a comfortable area to invest as far as people looking to get coin count up or to take a position, because when something rejects 7 times, it's usually pretty significant. So that's technically going to play a role in the volume and stuff that we see going forward. And speaking of volume, the volume has been relatively low since we've seen the breakdown in overall market. And again, this isn't Dogecoin being on fire or Dogecoin declining and through the floor or something like that. The entire market is on fire. So Dogecoin is literally going to be collateral damage. I know sometimes people who are heavily invested in Dogecoin, they want it to be the exception, but the market's on fire. So you're kind of going to have to ride the wave when it comes with that. But overall, this is really impressive for Doge with the 7 rejections at the entry of the pretty much the trough here for our consolidations. Because technically speaking, with the market breaking down, it would be certainly plausible for Doge to come down and retest this this low 6 cent mark. I mean, let's take a look here at Bitcoin. Because sometimes what people do is they get caught up in stocks. They get caught up in the short time frames, and they're not seeing that the fact that Bitcoin is consolidating at its third consolidation point, and Dogecoin is roughly bouncing around. So if pretty much to do a reversal on this would be the equivalent of Bitcoin consolidating down to its third level and then reconsolidating upward and consolidating again back at the 20,000 and holding that pretty steady. So you can see that as far as its entry level and this key point here where Bitcoin consolidated at several times. I'm not even going to count how many touches it rejected off of here. But you can see, even though it's retested it, it has not came back to hold that line since, early November. So take that into comparison here, that Doge in that regard is holding the line a lot better than even Bitcoin in that regard there. So just kind of keep that in mind. And so I know sometimes things get taken out of context and people they're panicking and stuff like that. But overall, you have to kind of look at it for what it is. Still just consolidating at its first entry point to its trough. So it's not down here. It's not in the middle. It's up here with 7 touches. So let's kind of keep that in mind. Now, with the head and shoulder pattern. Now, technically speaking, the way to invalidate this pattern to the upside would be if the neckline is broken. Obviously, this shoulder here is still relatively weak, and it has not even rivaled the initial shoulder. So, and it's not a requirement to be perfectly symmetrical, but it is looking like that may be invalidated here just because of how weak the shoulder is. So it just could look like it was just almost like a failed pattern, but I can see how it can look like a head and shoulder, but we will need something to, in my opinion, to officially the current head and shoulder. We need something closer to this range. It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, but at least something around like the high 8s or so to kind of say, okay, well, it's a head and shoulder pattern, because we had our triple bottom here and we got the green candle, but unfortunately we couldn't hold it. Volume was too low. Shorts came in and they were able to get the breakdown to the downside. And let's take a look here at shorts as well. Yeah, shorts are still climbing. Shorts are still climbing. So, and that's another thing, like I mentioned in my previous video, Sometimes people get discouraged and they'll see the price declining or low volume. And in times of low volume, this is when shorts shine. Shorts love to shine in times of low volume. So when you see the price of an asset steadily creeping down, that may not necessarily be retail selling. And as you can see here, shorts have steadily been increasing their position. So they're literally almost on par with, we're talking about, there's a few million, but still, this is a lot of short pressure. This is what happened when Elon purchased Twitter. To put this into perspective, this is back in October when the Elon Twitter purchase went through. And this is the amount of short volume that we had. And this is when we were at like 15 cents. This is the short volume that we have now at 7 cents, to put that into perspective. So that's a lot of short pressure that we're seeing here to try and get the price down. So even though the market's on fire, so I'm not making any excuses, the market's on fire, I get it, but the short pressure is pretty astounding compared to the actual price of the coin. So even though it can be discouraging, just kind of know that sometimes it's not what it seems. And this manipulation, I believe, at I would say, is running amok in the crypto area, even Bitcoin, for that example. But we all know that retail plays, anything that is embraced by retail, you're going to have a little extra razzle dazzle of BS on there from institutions and stuff absolutely hating the coin, not to mention Elon. And, that's kind of going to fall on Doge. But this is really, really impressive. I'm excited for us even to hold this going into 2023. That'll be absolutely amazing as far as for our retest and even bouncing off of the 6 cent line. This is absolutely great. The market's bleeding right now, so you do have low volume. You have a lot of short pressure on there. So ultimately, if you're looking or if you're waiting on price action, you're going to have to probably wait until I say January, February, when we get the next CPI numbers, and we can kind of get an idea of where the Fed interest rates are going to be, CPI, unemployment, a lot of those big macros. We can kind of get a feel for overall with the markets, because right now institutions and retailers are pulling money out of the market overall. So, and of course, that's going to be affected in crypto. But Doge is holding up pretty well. So, in my opinion, this is anytime that you're down here 7 touches. Well, I believe any of these blue lines, like if I'm looking to accumulate, this is the area that I'm looking to do it. Not up here, not here. Because I know sometimes people like to wait until you see those runs. This is not the time. Not the time. Down here, this is the time. But, of course, keep that in mind. Do your own research. Let me know what you think as far as what's happening in the market with the macros. And I know if you're in the market at all, unless you're accumulating and DCAing in whatever asset you have, more than likely you're experiencing some short-term pain right now. So let me know how you guys are doing. Check out the link to Moomoo in the description section. Get up to 15 free stocks. Check out the link to my Patreon. Get my plays for every week with my option trading plays. And we will do Zooms, etc. to every week, really, together. So, and also cover the macros. But that's all I have for this Dogecoin price update. Again, let me know what you're thinking in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.